must have been 10, 11, 12 years old. When I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark in the scene with a great big ball bearing chasing him down that tube. That was one of the most memorable scenes of any movie I've seen as a kid. I left there just vibrating. I was like, yeah, you know, I mean, it was cool.
When you're casting, you have a particular idea. I mean, we knew what he looked like when he grew up. I knew I was looking for somebody idealistic and naive.
You mean the pyramid?
Because the whole point of the show is that he's sort of facing all of these adventures, and this is what turns him into sort of the world weary cynic that he becomes later on.
You're being irrational. Emotions are clouding your judgment. You're endangering the men and putting our mission at risk.
This is mutiny, Captain?
I disagree. Now drop your weapon. It's not a request.
I'll have you before firing squad. All of you.
Yes, sir. Rick, the producer, gave me 3 copies of The Last Crusade, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Temple of Doom, and I watched each one of those, no joke, like 25 times to, you know, learn how Harrison Ford rode a horse. How he walked and how he turned around, and the way he spins around and his arms are spread out, the way he puts his hat on, you know, the way he cocks his hat, you know, the way he wears his hat around females.
Are you mad at me?
No, of course not. It's truly magical. I'm glad. It's the perfect birthday present.
It's your birthday? Why didn't you say something?
It's no big deal. It's the perfect way to spend it. You know, he's a ladies' man and a man's man together.
This is about a classic story of an American boy who, primary, especially during the first 2 seasons, is an American who, for the first time in popular television terms, learns everything about life that he learns, that Indy learns, is from Europe and the rest of the world.
Boo. Wait, wait. Ner. Han. Nianga. You won. You won. That's good.
The scripts are so well written, and there's so much time and effort put into the research of them, and that does a lot. That gives us enough time to prepare them.
At the beginning of the series, we developed our own timeline, chronology from about 1908 to 1922 of all major events and all the important figures of the day. So we initially break down the script, all the main sets. We cover that with reference, but then details come up from location. There are always emergencies. Months later, after you've done the initial research, we're shooting a street scene. Can you clear a sign, the name of a business? We're shooting it in 2 hours, please. Fax it.
We're called in from all parts of the world to meet with George, who has a master list of events and story ideas.
Does Indy actually get to sit down and talk to him? Or does he see him from a distance?
We do 1 story a day, which is very intense over 3 weeks. And there's a little bit of the syndrome of, if it's Tuesday, it must be Belgium.
It can get loud, it can get excited, you know, because you've got writers in there. It can get kind of passionate, of course, but it's all to the good. It's all, you know, aimed at creating the best show that we can.
Everyone gets real silly by the afternoon. And my role is kind of to be the schoolmarm, which is not the most fun, and say, you can't do that. The reason the details are important is because that's the area we have the most control. Because we're taking dramatic license of having a fictitious character meet all these famous people.
Mr. Picasso?
Yes.
We try to be as honest as we can about that. But with the set design and the costume design, that's something we can do right. We can do 100% right. And the designers care about that very much.
And for us in the art department, the preparation time is immensely valuable. I mean, once we start shooting, we're living on the preparation that we've done in the previous 16 weeks. The easiest thing for us to do for directors who are just coming and they've only got 2 or 3 days is to do as many things in a visual form as we can. I mean, often drawings.
We can have 30, 40 Germans running here. We can be running down here or walking.
We probably would have done a lot of work on the episode before they joined us, with sort of conceptual things, with Rick and I being involved in location recce's and finding things out in terms of just whether things are possible. So by the time the director joins, we've probably got models and drawings and many location photographs. You do find that most directors react much better to models, be they block models or little simple card models. They can actually get in there and you can see their mind actually starting to be inside that rather than just like looking at a picture. On there, so it's like across the front of that. The advantage of this is we can have the real train later on going past it. We're actually managing to get that right next to the...
Yeah, that's great. We should look at that.
And I don't think I've ever worked with anybody quite like Rick before. He's the one person actually on site who probably makes everything work in terms of just his enthusiasm.
It's when they shell at night and they hear the shell whistling overhead.
Fantastic.
You can.
As boys, most of us had our train set when we were young. I mean, it is something that you've got to be fairly relaxed about and see the exciting side of it. There could be times if you thought too hard about what you're doing that things could seem a little bit daunting, certainly. So, but when you've got little train models in front of you, it's very difficult really to take everything too seriously.
No, please don't kill me! Please don't kill me! Please! Okay, quick, out of those uniforms.
I think we've given a whole new meaning to location shooting, at least in television. So far, on Series 1, we've shot in 12 countries. We have another 10 countries to do in Series 2. Many of the locations were so remote. Like in Africa, we built a little encampment on the edge of the end of the Tana River. We had to build everything there from scratch. I mean, even a runway to bring in the supplies. And we built 55 tents, which is where all of us lived for 9 weeks. It was such an extraordinary experience. I don't think any of us will ever forget it. It's certainly a far cry from shooting on the back block in Hollywood.
I got in there, Daddy.
Watch yourself, Annie. You're just about to
All right.
He's got my arm. He's still got my arm. I'm out.
Why don't we just get...
You're out. He's out. He's out. Everybody walk away.
No, I love China. It was great. It was one of the most incredible experiences we had. The Chinese view of life is so completely different from ours. That it takes a real effort to actually communicate with them, and working with them was one of the most successful relationships we had with any country we worked in.
Faster. 快点，快点，快点，快点。
Okay, that's it. Now once more. In the order.
India was my favorite country. It was a very spiritual experience for all of us. Benares is the great holy city of India. Seeing men bathe in the Ganges, the holy river, was truly an amazing experience. One of the most difficult times we had was when we were in Eastern Europe. It was very, very cold last year. The winter was extreme. There was, we lived in conditions where there was no heat virtually whatsoever. It was a very, very difficult time. So the sacrifice that the crew made was really extraordinary. No complaints.
Right, stand right.
We've had a really wonderful mix of directors from all over the world. They've all been so connected to the episodes they directed. We really tried to find the right director for each script. Most of our directors have backgrounds in feature films, and that's by design, really. George envisioned each one of these to be like a feature film, only for television. And basically, I think we've given him that.
And then we will lead the proletariat to victory!
Okay, well, let's cruise it one time. Yeah, pull it back and let's do it.
He likes to do his own stuff. Sean takes the time to listen to what's going on, and he sticks around and he knows what everybody's doing.
You work during the day, you spend an hour or two setting up something that's going to last for 3 seconds. You have to focus a lot of creative energy into choreography, really, you know, a little bit at a time. The whole sequence will be made up of little pieces of action which, when cut together, hopefully will flow as one energetic adventure.
Sean, we're ready for you, sir.
I feel good about any stunt that I do where I'm relying on myself.
And action!
Okay, cut!
Doing the stunts is definitely one of the high points. You know, there's certain scenes in every episode, whether it entails stunts or not, that are just really, really, really exciting. I do research on every episode, you know, so I know, I mean, because each episode is a real story, you know, just with, you know, this fictitious character, Indiana Jones, tossed in there, and that helps me to tell the story.
Esta es nuestra revolución. Un miserable puño de tierra. ¿Me oyes? Vete a tu casa. Te dejo libre.
Genovia, no me quiero ir. Quiero unirme a ustedes. Quiero luchar por la revolución.
I think we were extremely lucky to find Sean because he's such a wonderful actor. Sean has such love of life and enthusiasm and innocence that I find that's what he brings to it, I think.
But everybody's just, we're all making a film, we're all part of it, and, you know, I mean, that's what's great about it, you know, we just get it done. I guess that's really kind of the, you know, the formula that makes this work. We spend so much time, you know, on each episode. There's so much energy from each individual, you know, that has to be delivered that, you know, everybody really has to work hand in hand. You just do it, you know. That's how it gets done.
What we're shooting now is a lot of bits and pieces. So, you know, I can't wait to get back and put it all together and see what it looks like. And it's all been laid out. Rick is extremely good at being you know, a producer that's on the set and getting the production itself done. I'm primarily an editor. I love post-production. I love editing. That's my main push into the film industry in the first place. I've gravitated toward the things I really like to do.
You want me to take a look at it and see?
Yeah, I think we should look at it right now because I want to see.
And when you know that he's an editor, when you sense that feeling, then working with him becomes very easy because you're talking to a colleague. He knows exactly the problems that an editor goes through, the things that an editor has to do to put a scene together. He knows what's going on.
Move in a little bit. Just the movement will distract you a little bit and you know, make it more active.
Oh, you mean make it an actual move in
just
the
it's
thing?
a slow moving.
The Editroid is a computer-based digital editing system that was developed by Lucasfilm. I can experiment as much as I want and save everything. It's like a word processor, only for images. I just like all the alternatives I have by working this way. It allows me to spend the bulk of my time in the creative rather than the mechanical mode.
Everything should be flowing. It should be a flow. And if you have a lot of edits, what usually happens is you turn up the speed of a scene.
That is your Harry. Let's get out of here!
It's getting to a point with technology that if you can imagine it, there's machines out there that can do it. Harry's one of those machines. It can allow me to take different images and composite them together into one, like an artist would do with cut and paste, with a single image for a still ad maybe.
I think one of the most successful examples of manipulating some of the images that we got was a ring of horses that we created based on 10 horses that were shot in different setups, so that it was 10 horses here, rotate them 30 degrees, and there's 10 more horses, 10 more horses, and 10 more horses. You know, we had some fun with that.
Allison brings an effects book with her. We call it the Effects Bible. And we sit down at Western and go over all the effects for each show. One of the images was a plane landing at Pershing's camp in Mexico. And they shot one shot of a plane landing on a dirt road in Santa Barbara, and they shot another shot of Pershing's encampment in Mexico on location. And what I needed to do, along with the map painter who supplied me with a larger encampment, a still picture of a larger encampment, is take all of these different images and create one image that looks seamless, that looks flawless.
One of the other examples that is pretty exciting that we've done integrates a matte painting that was done at ILM by Yusei, and he was able to take our plate that was shot in Prague in a very nice little riding academy with a school and the horses going around and around, but it was a one-story building and it needed to look like the Spanish riding school. Jimmy then took the matte painting and then he's able to paint a matte line and combine the two elements so that it looks like the two never existed besides with themselves. They are together and they always look like they will be together. All the lighting, all the shadows, all the action, it's perfect.
That's the biggest achievement, I think, is making an effect shot, a difficult effect shot, not look like an effect shot. Make it blend right in with the show.
Sound is always at the service of picture. It's there to help and to enhance. And hopefully sound effects will evoke a certain mood, a certain psychological and physical realm of that particular scene. The scene in the Verdun episode where Sean, Indy, is visiting Remy, who's in the hospital, we had all kinds of wonderful coughs and moans and water drips and eerie tones, just to give that particular hospital scene a very eerie, tense quality.
I think a large part of the compositional process happens in just thinking about it. What is it exactly the music wants to say? The important moments versus the moments where the score just has to paint a mood, and there were more scenes that were under dialogue where the music really could only set a tone, and it really just had to stay low, never poke its head up. But then there were 3 or 4 moments where all of a sudden the music got to just come blazing through and take over.
My step comes after Tom's step. I mean, he and his people have done all their editing, and they've really selected all the sounds, and they bring that to me, and they are relying on my experience as a mixer.
I actually don't hear the music until the time when everything comes together. The music, the effects, the dialogue, and you try to balance things out.
And we'll try to pull the music up and let it make the emotional statement of the triumph of getting the grenades and throwing it, and then the explosions take over. It may not work, it may work. How come we don't hear anything? How come we're not here? Oh.
There's no doubt that George has truly one of the best ears in the business.
There should be gunfire here of them returning fire at those guys. You know, just a couple of sporadic shots. He says Indy there, Indy. Then it can come up here.
He really cares about sound, and whatever is going to make the episode better is what he really cares about.
By the time this is finished, you'll have a good picture of his life from the age of 5 to 20, and then from 35 to 40, and then from 90 to 95. So you'll have these little bits of his life that will have been documented.